about predicting
Okay. Hi
predicting
guys.
events during
Hi guys. Welcome to our channel. We are going to be discussing about the CAT 25 paper, the first lot. Our two faculties, Mr. Inder Chopra and Sandeep, has given the CAT 25 first lot, and we're going to be discussing the exact questions that came in the first lot. Okay, so let me ask certain questions onto Inder. Inder, what is your feeler? Okay, after taking the CAT, I'll just tell you, I've been speaking to a lot of students in the meantime, a lot of erudite students. And what I've got from the erudite students, they said that the LRDI was comfortable for them. They have not found that kind of a jerk for the LRDI. Most probably because the preparation has been at that level and the questions has been at that level. So they have not found the paper to be very, very tough in the LRDI. They said it is manageable. And the QA section also, they've said it is manageable. No one is saying that the paper has been very tough or something out of the thing, or they have found something a massive surprise element.
If I may interject for just a moment.
Right.
We spoke to Honabo, who's our student of CAT 25. He was there in the first shift. He had his test. Right after Inder and Shandip, after we spoke to you, we spoke to Honabo. Honabo said the same thing. He said the VARC was, for him, was slightly on the tougher side, but LRDA was manageable, Quants was manageable. So that is consistent with what Kaushik sir has just said.
Yeah, because I've been speaking to, at least I spoke to 50 people in the meantime across out there, retired students, and majority of them have been giving this viewpoint. I do not know, Inder, what is your viewpoint with respect to this? Is it matching with your analysis and the way the students have prepped across at erudite for their entire, the CAT?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we had predicted that the LRDI compared to 2024 would be on the tougher side. So that is how we also try to make them solve different kinds of sets, which would be consistent with what we were predicting, and that is what exactly happened. There were the pattern was same, just like 2024. There were 5 sets, and the questions compared to 2024 was on the difficult side. Compared to 2024, the DI set was the doable one. Okay, if we are talking about overall all kinds of students, so DI set was the one which generally should be the.
In that one point,
Yes.
In case of DI also, I got some idea that it is not straightforward calculation. Calculation was also some bit maybe lengthy.
Yeah, so basically, the DI contained of 2 graphs. One was the spider web graph, and second one was a bar graph. The premise was that different countries are imposing tariffs on other countries when they are importing. So if imagine if US is importing something, then they are assigning tariffs a certain percentage to different countries. So the first graph was about which country is imposing what percentage tariff on which countries. So that was presented in the spider web graph, the radic graph. Okay. From there, the second graph was the second bar graph was what is the absolute value of the tariffs being charged. So, for example, if US is charging 30% tariffs from India, okay, if US is charging 30% tariff from India, then your in the graph, you can see that it can be 3 million, for example, that US is charging 3 million from India. So basically, you have to connect 30% of the total import values to 3 million, and that's how you get all the values. So yeah, you had to compare 2 graphs. So it was not that straightforward as well. On top of that, the information or the questions were pertaining to exports as well, like the trade surplus. Okay, so that was pertaining to exports minus your imports. So there, export ka matlab, you have to look at it from the reverse angle. So it was not exactly a very straightforward, but comparatively it was the most doable one out of the 5.
Right. In the what I think so what Jointo meant to say that students are very familiar with these kind of sets, the erudite students. So correct. Though it was slightly of a complicated, but because if you're used to this kind of sets, you will not find it that complicated.
That is
right?
True. That is true.
This
is with comparison to the DI sets, that 1 or 2 DI sets that were there in 2024. Like right. For example, in slot 1, there was a candlestick graph. So the data was very pretty straightforward. So here the data was not that straightforward, but with a little bit of focus and the amount of practice that our students have had, they would not feel any issue, handling these kind of DI questions.
Right, right. So that is, I think that is where we are getting the feedback. As an expert, if we take everything in totality, we are finding it tough. But when we are talking to the erudite students, I think so the kind of an exposure they've had because of the erudite material, they are finding it a normal test across the. They're not finding it anything abnormal across in the terms of the preparations. Okay, let me bring in Sandeep also. Sandeep.
No. Sir, another point that DI part I need to make a discussion. That is in DI, in the whatever you were saying, that in the last year, that means in 24, whenever candlestick kinds of thing it has given, it was more or less straightforward. That means LR logic mix-up was not that much high. So what do you think in this year DI logic mix-up? That's only you say.
Oh, this was in the DI. I would say it was pure DI only. There was not much logic because the formula was given and you just had to compare data. So that aspect was common with 2024. But the rest of the four sets that were there, those were pretty heavy on NR.
Okay. Now I think so. Let us bring in Sandeep also across out here. Sandeep has done the complete analysis and he's also written down a lot of questions which have actually come in the first lot. So we're going to be discussing certain questions across out there. Okay. Sandeep has got 100 percentile last year and he's also hoping for 100 percentile this year. Sandeep, why don't you take it forward, please, from here?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we will go section by section and we'll analyze basically all the RCs and everything. So let's start with first VARC. तो VARC कैसा था देख लेते हैं. Oh, just a second. Issues with showing the screen.
Okay, till Sandeep is just loading his slide across out there. Sagnik, what have you found out about from the students with respect to the verbal section when you're speaking to the students? And then we can get Sandeep also across when his presentation is ready.
Absolutely. I found the same thing as what Aunabo told us. The first shift, it was a bit more. Let's talk about RC and VA separately. RC was more passage heavy. The passages were a bit less readable as compared to 2024. And questions some were straightforward. I'm sure there's a mix of harder questions. Now, what I heard from students was that the questions were manageable. I'll have one small caveat to that. That is, VRC is often very deceptive. So let us see what exactly the mix of hard questions versus medium to easy questions is. That we'll understand when we finally get the paper. But in the meantime, I believe that this year the make or break would be the RCs, because while RC passages were slightly less readable, the questions were doable. VA on the other end became
taking to RC. Do you have any idea what is the length of the passages were worded, or the CAT 24 type, which is slightly lengthy, or for the CAT 23 type, which is slightly lesser than? So what is the length of the passage? Length of the passage?
Length of the passage would be consistent with the last 2-3 years. I don't expect any changes there. That's what students have also mentioned, though length of the passage is not something that they have a very clear idea about, but they did not mention. I did not get any reports of the passages being lengthy. So we are talking about 500 words per passage average. When I say average, it's somewhere in the range of 480, 490 to 530. I've generally seen it within that. Last year there was one passage which was 470.
I think so. Sandeep is writing down the the number of words. Sandeep, if you can recall, what is the length of the passage?
Yeah. So basically, the length of the passages were almost similar to last year. एक आधा का छोड़ के मतलब जो म्यूजिक वाला था, I felt उसका शायद 550 या maybe close to 600 हो सकता है. Apart from that, all were like 490 to 520 के बीच में. I did not count obviously, but like 500 के around I feel. So the first passage, the music passage was really dense.
But one second. Shadip, if I may interject just quickly
Sure, sure, sure.
once. That's a very good observation. You said that one passage seemed longer, which is the music one. It seemed like it was 550. By the way, I'm just putting this information out there. Last year also, I got a report from the students that the passages seemed lengthier than the average 500-ish from the CAT. But later, when I took the word count, because once we'll get the paper, we'll be able to take the exact word count. I saw that the maximum was 528, 527. So none of the passages were inordinately longer. Let's see about this year. But it might be that passage, because of its language and all, it feels lengthier. But it is
Yes,
actually
yes, because
might
it
be.
was वो इतना dense था कि देख के मैं भी लग रहा है कि वो बड़ा हो. Obviously, this is a good point actually.
Right. True. Yes, please continue, please.
Yes. Yeah. So from this passage, music में I felt कि जब मैं पढ़ रहा था ना, so I felt like when I was in the third para, वहां पे थोड़ा मतलब मैं कंफ्यूज हो रहा था चीजों को. So I needed that extra 1 or 1.5 minutes again to read back the entire thing and to grab the idea कि भाई हो क्या रहा है. ठीक है. तो बट वो एक बार जब समझ में आ गया ना, तो इसमें से जो दो क्वेश्चंस थे, इसमें एक था समरी के ऊपर और एक और क्वेश्चन था आई गेस टू फाइंड द कीवर्ड्स और समथिंग. So
Oh,
both of these questions.
wow. Interesting, very interesting. Keywords, last I have seen that question only in 2020. There were questions in the last 2 years for odd pairs. There were pairs given. और वो pairs का
Correct.
pairs में से odd कौन सा है वो ढूंढना था. Last year एक tonal question आया था which was one word answer, synonymical, metaphorical, ऐसा एक question था.
Correct.
I don't know if there were any such questions this year or not. You tell me.
नहीं,
But
इस बार एक वर्ड आया था. इस बार एक
Sui
वर्ड आया था
generis.
sui generis करके. I guess Inder sir also.
Yes.
Yes. So this means which is not generic or particular. So
okay,
options had indescribable, generic. One was something else. So answer would be for this would be particular kind of कि unique होना चाहिए. Sui generis means not generic. Basically,
makes sense.
is what
Makes
the
sense.
meaning is.
One thing to note here, if I don't miss the seeming apparent translation, that phrase, it looks Latin. I believe ये passage में आया होगा.
Correct.
Passage से फिर question में पूछा होगा. ठीक है.
Correct.
There was
So
a
this term came
question.
in the passage वहां से पूछा गया. Correct.
There was a question some 3 years back, I think 2021 or 22. There was a passage which had this thing was like this was the passage about the World War, the Second World War, but India's contribution to the Second World War. उसमें एक phrase था, mood music. There was a question, what does mood music mean? I believe this is very much similar to that.
Yeah, so basically what this entire RC said ना कि जो पहले जो म्यूजिक होता था वहां पे कंपोजर लोग जो होते थे वो लोग अपने थॉट्स को लेके वहां से मतलब खुद से कंपोज करते थे, मतलब अपने एंटायर जो प्रैक्टिकलिटी है वहां से. बट अभी जो है ना, वी आर यूजिंग अ लॉट ऑफ गैजेट्स एंड एवरीथिंग.
Right.
So we might not be able to directly connect with the gadgets, but ultimately since those gadgets are able to give us a good music environment, so we will be able to connect to the gadgets as well in the future. Basically, if you see the tone of the passage was entirely very like he was in support of this new gen music. So he was not skeptical
Technological
of
revival.
anything. Look, he was very much. Yeah, correct. So what he was willing to say is that कि traditional को भी रखना चाहिए, along with we should also be trying some new things which will eventually help us in the long run. So
Got it.
basically his tone was entirely on this key and like we should be welcoming in nature. Correct, kind
Got
of
it.
thing.
Got it.
So I
One
feel
more
यहाँ से दो
interjection,
questions.
Shahidip. Sorry, one more interjection. One thing that that if you could tell me, that would be very nice. Last year, if you remember, there was a break in the question system of the VARC. Till 2023, we always had the RCs first, so questions 1 to 16, and then we had VA from 17 to 24. Last year, they jumbled it up. They shuffled it within the paper. What about this
This
year?
year also it was jumbled.
It was shuffled.
First,
Okay.
First, my first question was odd one out, followed by 4
Interesting.
RCs.
Okay.
Then again
Got
para
it.
completion like this. So it was
Got
jumbled
it.
only.
Mhm.
Yeah. So out of this, I guess 2 questions were doable. like if one actually gets what is going on, two questions were very doable, like out of the four. Like the thing is, in every RC I saw there was one question which was a bit tricky. Apart from that, if you just don't waste time on those questions ना, मतलब वो क्वेश्चन को अगर हटा दे हम लोग, जो तो लेंदी लग रहा है या तो मतलब जिसमें थोड़ा समझ नहीं आ रहा, वो हटा दे, बाकी दो तीन क्वेश्चन हर एक आरसी में करने वाला था। इस ये तो मतलब अगर कोई समझ गया तो, अगर नहीं समझा तो ऑब्वियसली नहीं कर पाएगा, बट अगर कोई अगर सही से मतलब निकाल दिया तो दो तीन हर में करने वाला था। बट चारों का चारों करना भी बहुत मुश्किल था हर एक आरसी में, मैं ये भी बोलूंगा। 4 out of 4, like if you like doing 4 out of 4 correctly in every RC was also very tough. Like there was no RC that was very easy, मतलब जहां पे चारों के चारों एकदम मतलब विद इन 6-7 मिनट्स आप उड़ा दो, ऐसा कोई कुछ नहीं था। सब आरसी में यू हैड टू रीड फॉर अराउंड, मतलब मेरे को हर एक आरसी पढ़ने में 3 to 3.5 मिनट्स लग रहा था। बट
Okay.
दो क्वेश्चन निकालने में मेरे को बहुत जल्दी हो रहा था, बट रेस्ट जो दो क्वेश्चन था वहां पे मैं फंस रहा था।
Got it.
सो बेसिकली जो लोग बस मतलब ये नहीं करता कि मैं बस 2 आरसी उठाना है या 3 आरसी उठाना है, वो लोग विल बी एट डिसएडवांटेज, बिकॉज कोई भी आरसी ऐसा नहीं था जहां पे चारों के चारों क्वेश्चन डुएबल थे। सो बेटर अप्रोच ये होता है ये पेपर में कि चारों के आरसी पढ़ो एंड दो दो करके क्वेश्चन हर एक आरसी से उठाते उठाते करो, कि दैट वुड हैव बीन अ मच बेटर अप्रोच इन अ पेपर लाइक दिस, जहां पे कोई भी आरसी एकदम इजी नहीं है जो फूक मार के उड़ा दो। So basically the next RC was why people commit crimes. Like this was also like doable only. The level, like I would say not like medium only. I feel 2 to 3 questions were doable from this also. अगर एक RC बोलूं जहाँ पे maybe a good student or a like 99+ percentile वाला अगर 4 क्वेश्चन कर सकता था, that would have been this GDP and economy. जीडीपी एंड इकोनॉमी में आई फील कि एक ऐसा आरसी था जहां पे बहुत अच्छा बच्चा वो 4 में से 4 कर सकता था, क्योंकि ये मतलब इसके ऊपर बहुत सारे हम लोग आर्टिकल्स वगैरह रेगुलरली पढ़ते रहते हैं, बिजनेस वगैरह ये सब के ऊपर। सो दिस वाज अ थिंग कि सो बेसिकली ये पैसेज क्या बोल रहे थे कि इनकम इनइक्वालिटी, लाइक सब लोग बोलते हैं कि इनकम इनइक्वालिटी इज नॉट गुड फॉर द जीडीपी ऑफ अ कंट्री, बट व्हाट द डेटा शोज इज दैट इनकम इनइक्वालिटी ऑन अ शॉर्ट टर्म basis gives advantage to the GDP, but on a long-term basis, it is not advantageous. So the entire passage was based upon this funda. So अगर ये जिस्ट अगर
Sandeep,
समझ जाए कोई तो इसके
Sandeep, in the both,
yes sir, please
I was getting a lot of input like that. Passages reading, it is not that much easier. Means you are saying that it is easier. So for that, I need to say that is it like that? Because some people are saying that passages
correct.
wherever it was looking like some complicated or पढ़ने के बाद जो तुमने बोला था एक जगह में रिटर्न करके you are going back to read this properly. So ये input ज्यादा आ रहा है. What is your view regarding that?
हाँ एकदम like almost like the 2 RCs were definitely very
And if you're having some network issue.
I think so.
but
Inder, you please
होगा
share
वो
this.
ये समझ जाएगा, मतलब उसके लिए बहुत
Yeah,
मुश्किल
yeah. So
क्योंकि
basically,
इनकम इनइक्वालिटी, देयर वर नो jargons of like there were no tough words that were being used basically. So जब टफ वर्ड्स यूज नहीं हो रहा है तो भाई वो पैसेज यूजुअली इजियर साइड पे रीडेबिलिटी में रहता है। टफ तब बनता है जब इकोनॉमिक्स का जो हम लोग jargons यूज करते हैं वो सब अगर डाल दो, तो वो कहीं नहीं डाला गया था। तो बेसिकली दिस वुड हैव बीन एन इजी रीड, नॉट अ वेरी टफ रीड, जीडीपी एंड इकोनॉमी। अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट एक और आरसी आया था, इंदर सर वुड बी एबल टू कंफर्म, आरसी 4
yeah,
व्हाट वाज ऑन
RC4 was on complex systems and how complex systems are good at predicting things which have a normal distribution, but it is not that good when it comes to chaotic systems like how people behave
yeah,
during pandemics, the
yeah.
observation during
So basically it
COVID.
was based on stocks, and that one, stocks and probabilities.
Right. It was
Correct.
it was
So
about
this was also
probability.
kind of correct. So this basically told कि all मतलब जो COVID-19 पैंडेमिक उसके कारण बहुत सारे स्टॉक ऑप्शंस को ऊपर नीचे हुआ था, बट
I guess there's some problem across with Sandeep's what do you call
outliers को so ये इसको भी
Yeah, I think mostly
I will just check.
Mostly like what was the observation here that generally when you have RCs, if the readability is like high, then the questions are tougher.
Is it fine now?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
It's better.
Yeah.
Okay, Sagnik, taking things forward, what I would believe is, when students have done, especially the area students who've done the RC reads, and they've got so much of a variety of reading across out there. I think so. This paper, people who are well read will have an edge. What is your view onto that?
Well read is a more comprehensive thing, sir. I believe that students who have followed the instructions the way that I have told them, we have told them in the mentorship, etc., they would definitely have an advantage because we have focused a lot on RC reads. We have also included like say for example, we have included the phrases, and as Shandeep said, the RC itself was not very jargon heavy. But there were topics which depended on this industry, say economy. The GDP one was economy heavy. The music one might have had tech terms which were there. People committing crimes that might have some social terminology. Those would be helpful. The passages would be helpful. Reading, which is a rigorous activity that we have made our students do, that would have been very helpful. So those students who have fulfilled that or those who have followed the mentorship system, they wouldn't have much of a problem. And then if the questions are comparatively more doable, then again that generally computes to a better section, a comparatively more doable section as compared to 2024.
Inder, what was your view across what here?
Similar to what Sir has said, that because we had those phrases included in our curriculum, plus focus on the RC reads part, which was categorized as per different topics. So identifying what kind of topic a passage is from would really help them connect with the words that were appearing in the RCs. Okay, like it's a said that in the GDP and economy part, even if if you have a basic idea of what the things are, how how the flow of the RC is going, okay, you should be able to answer questions if you have gone through the content that we had provided.
Correct. If I may add one thing to what Inder just said. Inder, you told me that that's a very important observation, that the fourth passage as in any order, but the one passage was on complex systems. Now, complex systems, that I believe, if you have read it, you would be able to confirm that would have been a passage which is rather vague in its discussion. So
Yes.
after a cursory reading, many students might not be able to understand ये actually बोल क्या रहा है. I don't have much of an idea.
I felt the complex system one has the least when it comes to readability.
Readability. So most every year or most every shift, I should say, एक पैसेज करके ऐसा जरूर रहता है which is like कि after reading the students they realize कि ये मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया. I don't understand what this is, and this is precisely what I tell students. पहला काम जो करो is identify the passages कहाँ पे हैं, then sample the passages and make your selection. This is one that, as Shandeep said, that it's better to do more passages this time around versus less passages this time, because सारे passages में चार करके questions, कोई सा भी ऐसा नहीं था जिसमें चारों questions बन जाएंगे. Maybe the GDP economy one, but that's it. But अगर ऐसा है तो if students made the selection, let's say कि students ने pick up किया music वाला कर लेते हैं, why people commit crimes वाला कर लेते हैं, GDP वाला कर लेते हैं, and most students I believe would have opted out of the complex systems one. Then I believe that is probably the best selection that can be made.
I would agree so, yeah. Because again, like we discussed that complex, the topic was also very, not very straightforward
Right.
when it came to your, it was not to the point. So basically, it spoke about how, how complex systems are used to predict, predict behavior. But, during pandemic, when people were rushing to buy toilet paper. Okay, so
Right.
these are your
Exactly.
extreme events. So when you have extreme tail events, then you have secondary tail events, tertiary tail events, just like earthquake. So you have an earthquake, and then you have different,
Correct.
aftershocks.
So if a extreme event happens once, then there is a chance of happening it twice, thrice, more times. So basically, वही
Yeah.
मतलब.
So this was about, if you know that the complex systems is more about, are you able to predict those secondary events? Okay.
That is so wonderful. You absolutely almost exactly reminded me of this one passage. I'm so sorry, I don't remember where it is. Somewhere in the SimCats, our mock tests, I believe. But there's one passage which talks about stressors. When people are under stress, what happens? If the stressor returns, or there's a possibility of a stressor returning, then there is consistent strength. There's consistent stress, and then people have a tendency to give up and lose hope. But if something like, say, for example, there was the example of earthquakes. If earthquakes happen, then yes, people might have a big loss. They might have lost property. They might have lost lives as well. But they understand that most probably this will not happen again. So then they can start rebuilding. But if the stressor returns, if there is, I believe there was an example of a feudal overlord or something like that. If that person constantly keeps the say villagers or farmers under their control, and it's a very tyrannical rule, then it is more likely that either people will completely revolt, or they would give up hope and accept their fate. This very much reminds me of that. Very interesting.
Sir, you are muted, Kaushik. Sir, you are muted.
Sorry. Sandeep, why don't you begin with the presentation? I guess your
Yeah. So basically,
Yes.
so VRC में RCs में 7 से 9 questions were doable. जो हम मतलब जो करने लायक थे for a good student who have given ample amount of mocks, and who had been doing good recently also in last 1 to 2 months as well. So अब let's go to the VA section. Just a second. Yes, my screen is getting stuck because of it.
Are we continuing to the next part, which is VA?
Yeah. Just a second, sir. My PPT got stuck. There is some hanging issues.
Shandip is having some technical issues on his end. I'll just pitch in the meantime. I don't have the information right in front of me, but I've seen I've talked to students. I've also seen Shandip's inputs into the VA section. So let me give you an overview of what that was like. First off, I see there's a clear return overall. There's a clear return towards the pattern system of 2023, CAT 2023. So by that sense, there's not much variation in the VARC, because VARC is still it has remained consistent. So it is very much in line with that. But VA was comparatively slightly tougher than last year. Also, in 2023, we first saw that 4 topics all featuring 2 questions each. And that was also the case this year. And that increases particularly of interest is that increases the number of titas to straight double of last year. Last year, there were only 2 questions, the odd statement ones. Odd one outs, which were Tita questions. This year, we had both jumbles and odd man. A lot of students, and in fact, even my colleagues, we had been wondering whether the jumble sentence would return. I firmly believed that it would, because we've seen a similar kind of a thing with odd man in 2022 and 23. 22, CAT 22, when para completion, the new format was introduced, the 22 format was introduced. It removed odd statement, but odd statement made a comeback in 2023. Similar thing with jumbles. What happened last year? It was removed. It made a comeback this year. And
let us go to the Zeller DI section.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
In that, let's go into this RDI section, it would be better because we are discussing this VRC. What do you say, Shayandeep?
Yes, yes.
सेक्शन
So,
के
so,
बारे
so, so
में
last,
डिस्कस करें?
last it will be fine if we just discuss the VA ones, because अभी तो
हाँ
RC
VA
बात किए थे.
चलो चलो.
Yeah, so VA में it was tougher than CAT, like last year CAT 2024. The last year CAT VA I felt was very much doable. Like average student भी 4 to 5 questions कर सकता था, because it was very tough to get the to get the para summaries wrong last year. Last year के para summaries were absolute sitters. So this year I don't think there were any kind of sitters. I would say थोड़ा workout करना था, but still 3 to 4 questions manage किया जा सकता है. That is एक para summary, एक para completion, एक odd on out और एक para jumble. ये तीन चार question तो manage किया जा सकता है. Okay. So basically in the entire VARC I feel 10 to 11 questions should fetch you more than 96-97%, and 99% के लिए 13 to 14 questions will be good enough.
Yeah, I think you are right. Para completion में I thought there was one question which was like a sitter.
Yeah.
Para completion में.
Para completion में.
Yeah. Jumbles में भी शायद एक वैसा था.
एक क्वेश्चन इजियर था. जंबल में एक क्वेश्चन इजियर था. पैरा समरी में भी एक डुएबल था. मतलब सब में एक डुएबल था.
Summary was not that easy because
जो सेकंड वाला समरी था, that was very lengthy, and also there was a trap between the two options. So second summary was tough. First summary I don't think was very tough, but easy to medium level पे, but was not sitter for sure. Para completion and para jumble were 1 to 2 sitters were there. That's it. I don't think more than that VA में, मतलब VA में 4 correct would be a commendable job. Yeah.
But obviously टीटा जो भी question है must attempt है.
हाँ, टीटा तो करना ही चाहिए. वो तो आंख बंद करके करना चाहिए. कोई इशू नहीं है. Okay, let's move to LRTI right now.
I think we can move on to LRTI.
Yeah. So basically हम लोग के slot 1 में LRTI का 5 sets था. 5-5 5-5-4-2-2 sorry 5-5-4-4-4 का ये arrangements है. Okay, so basically
like last year.
Yeah.
हाँ, the pattern was same.
Pattern was same. So based upon that, that one DI graph was definitely very doable. Why I'm saying very doable and not doable is that क्योंकि the DI graph was not very straightforward, I would say, but since there were no other sets that were doable, so students would have given the entire time to that entire set and did that. So जितने सारे बच्चों के साथ भी बात किया हूँ, and also the feedback that we are getting, I think वो एक सेट तो सबने सॉल्व किया है.
But the number of sessions that we have had on combination graphs, on specifically spiderweb graph, that we had kind of predicted, because back in 2019 also there was we had gotten a spiderweb graph. So I think our students should not be too worried when they had seen this particular set in front of them. So
correct.
Sandeep, just elaborate that DI based radar graph, whatever you were saying. What it has given.
So the graph was based upon import and export. There were 5 countries: US, UK, France, Japan, and India. They were import, so there was a trade. So basically there was a trade tariff percentage on the import. So like if a country is importing from
recently Trump, whatever it has been given, that has been given.
Kind of.
Example भी US को लेकर ही वो लोग they were.
Example भी US को लेकर भी है.
कुछ surplus ये सब भी है उसके अंदर.
So basically this concept was not new, because a set like that came in 2017 or 18, where it was defined कि इसका मतलब क्या होता है, trade surplus का मतलब क्या होता है, trade deficit का मतलब क्या होता है. So this was not a new set. I won't use the word new, but definitely this was a set जहाँ पे दोनों चार्ट पढ़ के दोनों का जो डेटा है उसको अगर निचोड़ के मैं एक जगह पे लिख दूं, then it was a set which, मतलब अगर मैं पूरा डेटा लिख दूं, फिर भाई वहां से गलत होना बहुत मुश्किल है. सीधा सा बात है. वो अगर मैं काम कर लूं कि पूरा डेटा लिख लूं, उसके बाद बहुत मुश्किल है.
Right. There was a bar graph also which had the absolute values.
Actual values.
Yeah. So
and also
what percentage is the tariff, and what is the actual tariff being
actual import tariff? So from there you can get the import का exact value, import tariff और उससे. So basically मतलब इसमें एक और easier चीज जो मेरे को लगा, जो बाकी ग्राफ्स में कभी-कभी दिक्कत होता है कि कभी-कभी ना वैल्यूज 20 और 30 के बीच में दे देता है, 22, 23 टाइप्स. तो जो वो इंटरप्रेट करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है, बट यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं था. अगर
हाँ।
वैल्यू 20 में भी दिया है तो 20 से 30 के बीच में एग्जैक्ट में दिया 25, सो यू कैन इंटरप्रेट, यू डोंट हैव टू गेस कि भाई 21 है या 22 है।
हाँ, मतलब
So
अगर
this
कोई
was a good thing.
30% अगर कहीं पे कहीं 30% टैरिफ लग रहा है,
हाँ
so
हाँ
you know that उसका जो एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यू है वो भी मल्टीपल ऑफ 3 ही आएगा। तो वैसा टाइप का स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड था।
करेक्ट 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 एंड फॉर सम वैल्यूज आई फेल्ट कैलकुलेटर यूज करना थोड़ा जरूरत पड़ा, करने में थोड़ा बहुत कैलकुलेटिव था। मतलब सी मैं फिर भी बोल रहा हूँ ये वेरी डूएबल इसलिए क्योंकि बाकी सब सेट्स इतने टफ थे कि भाई बच्चा जो ये सेट उठाएगा वो बोलेगा 20 मिनट दे देता हूँ बट ये सेट करूंगा ही।
भाई वही तो सुन रहा है, दैट टेलर डीआई
हाँ
सेट्स आर नॉट एट ऑल इजी, इट इज
करेक्ट
23
करेक्ट, इट वाज
लेवल में
नॉट एट
चला
ऑल
गया।
करेक्ट। आई फील कि अभी जितना फीडबैक आ रहा है आई फील इट इज डिफिकल्ट देन कैट 23 एज वेल, क्योंकि बेसिकली डबल डिजिट में I'm not finding many persons who are scoring in double digits. Like 7 8 वो भी तुक्का है का, तो मतलब एक सेट के अलावा एक और पूरा सेट सॉल्व भी बहुत कम लोगों का हुआ है। मतलब अभी का
सुन रहा है, टू डिजिट्स में किसी को अटेम्प्ट है तो उसमें तुक्का ही ज्यादा है।
एंड ऑल्सो थिंग इज जो बार ग्राफ वाला था वो 4 क्वेश्चन वाला था, 5 क्वेश्चन वाला भी नहीं था कि 5 में वहां पे 15 मार्क्स मिले, वहां पे भी बस 12 मार्क्स मिलेगा।
So basically that 4 questions a student can do, it looks like, and अगर में वो क्रैक करना मुश्किल है।
हाँ एलआर में क्रैक करना बहुत मुश्किल है, बट अगर मतलब आई थिंक दैट वन मोर सेट वाज देयर व्हिच वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस वन एलआर, जो ये वाला था, जहाँ जहाँ पे रेटिंग्स हम लोग दे रहे थे 1 2 3 रेटिंग्स वर गिवन फॉर एलीट एंड नोविस, कैटेगरी वाज गिवन एलीट नोविस। तो क्या हो रहा था कि
5% का रेटिंग दे रहा था, इस तरह कुछ था क्या?
नहीं नहीं, नॉट इट वाज नॉट इन परसेंटेजेस, इट वाज बेस्ड ऑन 1 2 3 रेटिंग दे रहा, मतलब
नंबर वेट वो दे रहे थे,
नंबर
एंड
फुल्ली
क्यूमुलेटिव
नंबर
उनका
बेस्ड
रेटिंग
एबिलिटी।
क्यूमुलेटिव हो रहा था।
To how many people?
6 people.
6
Out
people.
of those 3 were in the elite category, 3 were in the novice category. अब क्या बोल रहा है कि जो नोविस में जो फर्स्ट क्वार्टर में जो सबसे ज्यादा स्कोर लेके आएगा, जो स्कोर मतलब क्यूमुलेटिव स्कोर क्वार्टर 1 प्लस क्वार्टर 2 का, सो दैट वाज अ थिंग दैट हैपेंड। मैं भी एग्जाम हॉल में जब कर रहा था पहले मैं सोचा कि क्वार्टर 2 में जो लेके आएगा वही प्रमोट हो जाएगा, बट ऐसा नहीं है। सो जो क्यूमुलेटिव स्कोर लेके आएगा ना तो वो नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर में प्रमोट होगा एलिट में, एंड एक बंदा जो लास्ट हो रहा है वहां पे वो नीचे आ जाएगा, बट सब में क्यूमुलेटिव स्कोर यूज हो रहा है। कहीं पे क्वार्टर 2 का केस नहीं यूज हो रहा है, ओनली व्हेन तब हो रहा है जब सेम अगर दोनों का स्कोर हो गया तो। सो दैट मेड इट एक्स्ट्रा डिफिकल्ट, क्योंकि क्यूमुलेटिव स्कोर मेरे को देखना पड़ रहा था। अपार्ट यदि अगर वो नहीं था, अगर क्यूमुलेटिव स्कोर यूज नहीं होता तो दिस सेट कुड हैव बीन अ सेट व्हिच कुड बी सॉल्व्ड इन 8 to 10 मिनट्स, बट सिंस वो दे दिया तो यहाँ पे मतलब एग्जाम हॉल के सिचुएशन में दिस सेट वाज टफ, वेरी टफ, बट सिंस बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस अदर सेट्स वर आल्सो वेरी टफ। तो वो अगर
थोड़ा
मैं उसके
इलेबोरेट
साथ
करो,
कंपेयर
अदर
करूं,
सेट्स में क्या क्या चीज है?
so basically another set was on the this scheduling thing. So not based on scheduling, it was based on this occupancy वाला क्या था कि बोल रहा है कि A to E स्टेशन में जा रहा है एंड बीच में B C D आर द इंटरमीडिएट स्टेशन। अब जो बंदा B में आके E का टिकट बुक कर रहा है, सो ही वुड हैव बीन ऑक्युपाइड फॉर B to C, C to D, D to E, करेक्ट। सो ऐसे बेसिस पे एक पूरा सेट था। दिस वाज आल्सो नॉट अ इजी सेट, दिस वाज आल्सो वेरी दिस वाज नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट बट मॉडरेट टू डिफिकल्ट आई वुड से। दिस
So
सेट
different
वाज आल्सो
person is coming at different points and then occupying for the different range of.
correct.
Okay.
Another set was like I did not solve, but Inder sir had attempted that this DILR based tab set, so he would be able to better tell you about that set, what happened over there.
So
Sir,
basically, there were 5 people, and each person was asking a question to the other 4, and the other 4 were replying with taps. If they want to say yes, they tap once. If they want to say no, they tap twice. If they want to say maybe, they tap twice. So if we boil all the information down, what is happening is each person is receiving 1 tap, 2 tap, or 3 taps from the other 4 people.
Okay.
And that is happening for all 5 people. Okay, so we had to find out which person was receiving how many taps from which other people. Some information was already provided that there were a total of 40 taps. Okay, that means the sum of all the taps. Okay, The way to solve would be to make a separate column for like the taps which were received by the people and taps that were given to them. And obviously A will not give a tap to A, B will not give a tap to B. So A will receive taps from B, C, D, E, and A will also provide taps to B, C, D, E. But it can only be 1, 2, and 3. Like 1 means yes, 2 means no, 3 means maybe. So basically, it's
whenever A is providing, then B, C, D, E all are receiving the same kinds of information.
No,
from
it's
A.
different. Or everybody's asking a different question. So imagine that A has asked a question. Okay? B is saying no, C is saying yes, D is saying maybe, E is saying no.
Okay.
So इसका मतलब है A को रिसीव होगा B से 2 टैप, C से 1 टैप, D से 3 टैप, फिर E से 2 टैप. So 3 plus 1 plus मतलब जो भी होगा 2 plus कितना बोला 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2.
So 25
9.
सेल का एक बनाना पड़ेगा.
हाँ
5 by 5.
हाँ 5 into 5 जिसमें वो बीच वाला डायगोनल नहीं
या
रहेगा,
मिडिल वाला वो
नहीं
चला
रहेगा.
जाएगा.
तो तुमको वहां पे
रेस्ट अदर्स में डेटा
तो
रहेगा.
टोटल 20 टाइम मतलब 20 डिफरेंट आउटपुट से तुमको 40 बनाना है. नाउ तुमको इंफॉर्मेशन कैसे कैसे दे दिया कि A रिसीव्ड दिस मेनी टैप्स. तो इसका मतलब है बाकी सबसे जितना रिसीव हुआ उसका टोटल दे दिया. Also they were like कि A gave this many taps, 9 taps. तो A gave 9 taps मतलब A ने B का जो आंसर दिया, C का आंसर दिया, D का आंसर दिया और E का आंसर दिया, उनका टोटल 9 है. वैसा टाइप
चारों का टोटल है 9 taps like that.
Kind of, हाँ, some basic few information, some information about total दिया है, some specific information was given that B said no to D और A said yes to E. ये बहुत लिमिटेड इंफॉर्मेशन देके
20 सेल्स के अंदर पे ऐसे तो 4-5 इंफॉर्मेशन स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है.
हाँ 4-5 डायरेक्ट ले दिया, 2-3 इंफॉर्मेशन डायरेक्ट दे दिया है.
एंड टोटल में जो लेस होगा दैट्स इज आइडेंटिफाइंग विल बी बेटर एज वेल एज जो टोटल में हाईएस्ट होगा वो आइडेंटिफिकेशन विल बी बेटर लाइक दैट. यही लग रहा है.
हाँ सो बेसिकली इफ द टोटल इज मोर, okay, that means more number of threes are there.
More number of threes are there. Total is much less.
Total अगर less है तो more number of ones and twos are there. But
there.
उसमें भी एक condition था. Imagine you want to make a total of 4. मतलब बाकी total आ गया तो you want to make a total of 4. So it can be 2 plus 2. It can be 1 plus 3. But there was
zero भी हो सकता है क्या?
नहीं, zero was not there. Zero was not there. Just
so
one.
It can be 2 plus 2.
Because I'm talking about 2 people ना. Like imagine 2 cells are empty and 4 का total बाकी है.
Okay.
अगर 4 बाकी है और 2 सेल एम्प्टी है तो 1 plus 3 जा सकता है या 2 plus 2 जा सकता है.
अच्छा.
But there was an
फिल होने के बाद ये है.
हाँ वो फिल होने के पार्शियल फिल के बाद. I'm just saying like what are the different stages of solving. So there was a condition there that nobody said yes more than twice.
अच्छा.
So इसका मतलब है there's a cap on the number of ones that you can provide.
2 numbers.
हाँ maximum 2 ones can be there.
0 भी हो सकता है.
हाँ 0 ones हो सकता है. मतलब I can give 2 2 2 2 also.
Right.
But I cannot give 1 1 1. वो नहीं होगा. 3 3 3
ये क्या है? इंटायर 20 सेल्स को फिल अप करके प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करना है.
Yes. And I would say that and this was quite tough, quite interesting, and I think a lot of, because it is very similar to one question that came in 2024, which was about stars. You're providing certain stars. Some reviewers are giving bloggers certain stars.
But
so this had a very
नहीं था.
हाँ उसमें but this had a very similar feel. इसमें सिमिलर फील में स्टार्स नहीं दे रहे बट टैप्स प्रोवाइड हो रहा है और एक दूसरे को टैप्स प्रोवाइड
बोल रहा है. इसमें जितना सारा सेल को फिल करना पड़ेगा उतना सेल नहीं था.
बट इट हैड अ सिमिलर फील. सो इट्स पॉसिबल दैट a lot of students might find this set a little bit lucrative to solve after your DI set. ठीक है, बट ये थोड़ा टफर साइड में था.
स्टूडेंट्स का तो मेजर पॉइंट है. एलआर होने के बाद उस जगह में चला जाता है. डीआई में कैलकुलेशन ज्यादा है.
बिकॉज़ दिस वाज मोस्टली
बोल रहा था डीआई का कैलकुलेशन है फिर भी वो अचीवेबल कंडीशन में है.
करेक्ट.
बट एलआर के लिए और
यहाँ पे there was so ये this was the one which was I think यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है DILR based tabs था. I was saying it was more on the tougher side, medium to tougher side तो था, because some numbers were not obvious. कुछ numbers हाँ थोड़ा अगर आपका number system के concept दो.
बट ये lengthy है ना.
Lengthy only there are many observations. Lengthy in the sense there are many parts in the question where you had to use certain observations. कि सोचो आपको total 11 बनाना है और आपके
लेंथ
एक
वो
एक सेल
ग्राफ
में
वाला
2 है.
छोटी सब कुछ ही लेंथ दिया है सर.
हाँ,
ग्राफ वाला छोटी सब कुछ ही लेंथ
it
दिया
was
है.
lengthy. So one example observation I'm saying that अगर आपका total 11 है और आपके पास एक 2 है तो बचा कितना? 9 बचा. तो 9 एक ही पॉसिबिलिटी है 333. तो ऐसा ऑब्जर्वेशंस बहुत सारे थे.
वो नहीं होगा तो फील करना तो और भी तो मुश्किल है.
Correct. So there were a lot of inferences in the question. That is why it is on the tougher side. But if you're like, if you can observe these patterns, then you can do the set. But it was a bit tougher side.
How many
for
questions?
sure.
5 questions तक है ये.
ये वाला टैप्स वाला आई थिंक इसके
टैप्स 4 का था शायद.
4 था इसका.
4 का था.
4 था ना.
5 was the circular and this occupancy was 4 I guess, and that
इसमें लिखो ना.
ग्राफ
graph was 5. Graph was 4.
Number of questions का नंबर लिख दो.
DLR based taps were 4. LR based ticket was 5, which I did. Circular arrangement was again 4, and this is again 5.
Okay.
the review one. Rating system.
Yeah, na? In this, sir, if you can confirm.
Right.
Correct, yeah. ठीक है. So basically,
you are talking about some circular arrangement के बारे में. इसके बारे में कुछ elaborate करो.
Circular arrangement I did not touch. I have no idea क्या set
Again,
था.
I also did not attempt it, but I went through the set. So basically circular arrangement का बहुत heavy concept नहीं था उसमें. What was there was a table with 7 chairs. And 4 people were occupying the chairs initially. So दो लोग A और B शायद बगल बगल में बैठे हैं और C and D are sitting with no occupancy adjacent to them. So it's like 1 2 filled up, फिर खाली, फिर 1 person, फिर खाली, फिर 1 person, ऐसा था. But numbering था. Now normally क्या होता है? In normal circular arrangement the chairs are not numbered. Here the chairs were numbered, so that means you cannot randomly place them. Okay. That was the first thing. Second thing is, now after every turn, they were shifting either on clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction, not mentioned kaun sa direction tha, but any one of them, and they were occupying the immediate next chair which is empty. तो अगर A के बाद कोई B बैठा है, तो B के बाद अगर चेयर खाली है, तो उस चेयर पे जाके A बैठेगा. तो the turns are like A पहले जाएगा, फिर B, फिर C, फिर D. Okay, now some basic information was given कि in turn number 4 D was placed here, in turn number 3 E was placed here. तो इस तरह से कुछ information दी
Here means that chair number.
That chair number was given. So we had to track back. So if you remember, there was a DILR games and tournaments question. I think it came in the year 2022, where some people were getting or receiving money. There was a games type, different rounds were there, and people were giving or receiving 10 rupees. So round number 6 के end में कोई number दे दिया, round number 8 के end में कोई number दे दिया. It had a similar feat to it, but since every chair was numbered, since it was not mentioned that whether to go clockwise and anti-clockwise, I felt that this is not a set which you should be attempting at least.
How many rounds of movements given there?
So there were in the hints I think only till 6 or 7, but they said that it kept going.
Achha.
I think after a certain point the pattern repeats, so it doesn't matter how much it goes. So we have to find out that cyclicity.
Okay. So every movement, first round, and these persons are moving there, that person moving there, clockwise, anti-clockwise, like that. These
Correct.
information is given.
Correct.
And which the chairs, the total how many? 1, 2, 3. 3 chairs are vacant. So initially in the first time 3 chairs are vacant. उसी के बाद भी 3 chairs vacant ही रहेगा.
Vacant ही रहेगा बस. Chair number. So every person will sit in different chair numbers. तो उनके rotation के हिसाब से there was one question also कि what are the different chair numbers that A sat on. तो कहीं ना कहीं वो repetition एक point के बाद आ जा रहा था. Like it was coming back to your initial setting, but the initial setting was not clearly defined कि who was sitting at which chair number. So that hints that were given. So from there we had to track back कि अगर turn number 2 में कोई इधर बैठा है तो turn number 1 या उसके पहले वो कहाँ हो सकता है.
So, if I may,
Sure.
present an opinion, this sounds very similar. ये बहुत similar sound कर रहा है as जैसा if you remember that one set of linear arrangement where there were 18 professors or experts who have written papers. So
Right.
it is based on linear arrangement, but it's not an exact set of linear arrangement. It's a
Correct.
spin on it. I call it when I talk to students, I call it that it's a puzzle based on linear arrangement, but not traditionally. Not
Right.
traditional arrangement.
Right.
So this, you could say, it's very similar to that, as in it's a
Yeah.
puzzle based on circular arrangement.
Yeah.
A system of circular arrangement requires some knowledge of circular arrangement, but it's not
Right.
traditional
Correct.
circular
So basically,
person.
this set involved a table. So that was the common part, that it involved a table where people sat.
And that movement of clockwise, counterclockwise,
Correct.
just that.
Correct.
Understood.
No, I am saying that per round that particular informations need to be there.
Right. I think we have spoken about all the sets more or less. Sandeep, can you tell us क्या लगता है like 90 percentile and 99 percentile के लिए what scores? I think that, like you said, that single digit attempts बहुत ज़्यादा.
I think 85 to 90 के बीच में there will be hardly any marks. I won't be surprised if there are any marks between this time 85 to 90, क्योंकि 12 marks बहुत लोग करके आएगा, but उससे ऊपर जाना बहुत मुश्किल होगा. So might be like I think 12 marks तक 85 percentile का बच्चा आ जाएगा, but उससे ऊपर 90 to 93 percentile तक I think 12 marks ही रहेगा. उसके
That
बाद
means
फिर
कोई पर्सन को 15 के क्लोज आ गया तो 99 परसेंटाइल हो जाएगा.
अगर नहीं 15 नो 15, क्योंकि यहाँ पे क्या है ना सर, अगर कोई सेट उठाए, अगर वो कर ले, तो फिर ये जो सेट है ना, रेटिंग्स वाला जो सेट था, एक बार अगर कोई कर ले तो दिस इज अ 5 out of 5 वाला सेट, सीधा सा. So there will be students who would have done the second set as well. So 99 percentile, I think it should be 20, like if there are some issues in this, like एक आधा गलत कर दिया, that will be the thing, like 5 plus 4
it should be under 30 for sure. Under 30
24 to 20.
It will go up to that under 30 you were saying.
99 percentile के लिए.
But in 23 the score was not that much high.
No, in 23 99 percentile was at 27 or 26 marks, something around that.
But we also have to understand that this is only slot 1. We are yet to get the information about slot 2 and 3.
So basically we are talking about slot 1 only. Like that normalization will happen. But अगर कोई बच्चा यहाँ पे
we are only talking about raw scores.
There is
तो यहाँ पे अगर कोई बंदा 22 नंबर
ये
लेके
होना
आता,
तो ये भी मुश्किल है ना.
हाँ, वो नॉर्मलाइजेशन के हिसाब से वो तो हो जाएगा, कि वो तो हम लोग को अभी पता नहीं है स्लॉट में सोल्डर कैसा है.
नहीं, फर्स्ट इंप्रेशन LRDI getting tough, तो it may be tough.
यहाँ पे अगर कोई
27 to 30 के बीच में अराउंड वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग कि वो 98 99 वाला मार्क आएगा इन बिटवीन 27 to 30 के बीच में.
Correct. Okay, let's move to quants. I guess. Yeah.
Screen can clear.
Yeah. I think.
Done.
Yeah, it's fine, right? Yeah. Yeah. So basically, arithmetic was in the similar weightage as in previous years. 8-9 क्वेश्चन जैसा आता था वैसे इस बार भी 8 क्वेश्चन ही है. बट कैट 23 जैसा इस बार थोड़ा नंबर्स हेवी कर दिया. अलजेब्रा प्लस नंबर्स में 9 questions we saw. मतलब this included algebra. Why I wrote algebra plus numbers? Because there were a lot of questions जहाँ पे numbers का solely concept नहीं है, वहाँ पे algebra plus numbers वाला concept है. तो इसलिए it is fair enough. It is more fair to write both of them combined, I feel, in this paper. If I'm not wrong in the series, is it fine?
हाँ, जैसे बहुत एक इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन था. मुझे बोला था कि a of k, मतलब the kth term is nothing but 3 to the power k. So first term is 3 to the power 1, second term is 3 square, third term is 3 to the power 3. और मुझे बोल दिया था कि a to the power 1, a1 to the power 1, a2 to the power 2, a3 to the power 3, ऐसे I think a20 to the power 20 तक था कि ये is I think greater or smaller than something from 21. a to the power 21 plus into a to the power 22 ऐसा कुछ था. और मुझे देखना था कि कहाँ तक जाके वो inequality maintain रहता है. What is the maximum cutoff जहाँ तक वो inequality maintain रहेगा. So this was it involved indices का knowledge चाहिए. फिर अगर a1 खुद ही 3 to the power 1 है तो power 1 हो गया. अगर सोचो an ले रहे हो तो an मतलब 3 to the power n whole to the power n, तो वहां पे square आ जा रहा है. So the powers are becoming 1, 4, 9. So you have to add up till 20 terms. So वहां पे number system का concept आ जा रहा है कि sum of the first n squares. ठीक है? And then right hand side में summation of 20 plus 20, I think 21 plus 22 plus 23 इस तरह से summation हो रहा है. So वहां पर भी number, यहाँ पे भी AP का concept आ जा रहा है. So there was certain questions जहाँ पे multiple concepts use हो रहे थे. This was one of them.
Numbers are like that.
I think it will be good if we just go by arithmetic, then algebra and plus
let's
numbers.
start with
that should be better.
I think we
Arithmetic
should
का
first
questions
start
के
with
ऊपर में discuss करें.
Yeah. So as far as arithmetic is concerned, the questions that came, I feel, were if I remember, the one question was on chairs, correct? Which had which showed 12 chairs. अगर देगा तो एक और chair उसको free देगा, ऐसा type of कुछ था.
Basically, the question was that like while selling chairs, a person gave a 22% discount. Number one, 22% discount दिया, and after that, instead like for the cost of 12 chairs, the person gave 13 chairs.
Yeah, can
मतलब ऐसे 12 plus 1 का ऑफर टाइप का जैसा सवाल हम लोग करवाते हैं कि 12 के साथ एक फ्री.
सीपी को 100 दे दिया था, and then पूछा कि
और प्रॉफिट भी बोल दिया था 26%. You had to just find out the markup. तो अगर आप सक्सेसिव का फार्मूला लगाओगे तो हो जाएगा.
Yeah. So the answer came as 175, if I'm not wrong.
175% was the markup. So 175.
Yeah.
Theta question.
Yeah. Theta question. The next question was on boys and girls. एक था जहाँ पे 40% girls were removed, and then for 60% boys were removed, and then
60% boys were removed, 40%
girls were removed,
and the remaining had a difference of 8.
Correct. Remaining had the difference of 8. तो वहां पे एक फंडा होगा जहां पे स्टूडेंट्स गलत कर सकता है, कहां पे ये चीज की मिनिमम तो मिल गया, बट 40% ऑफ द गर्ल्स शुड आल्सो बी एट इंटीजर. करेक्ट. सो वहां पे हम लोग को बार बार केस देखना पड़ेगा कि 40% भी वो होके इंटीजर हो रहा है कि
मल्टीपल. बेसिकली आपको अगर हम नंबर ऑफ गर्ल्स को 5G ले लेते हैं तभी हम लोग का सॉल्व हो जाएगा, बिकॉज व्हेन यू से 2/5 3/5 दैट मींस योर नंबर ऑफ बॉयज और नंबर ऑफ गर्ल्स दोनों मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 5 है.
हाँ, like from the onset, if you take 5K1 or 5K from if you take that, then it is completely fine. Yeah. So answer to that was, I guess, 60.
We use
15 plus. Answer was 60, or I guess.
हाँ. और also one more thing कि वहां पर भी एक कैच था कि number of boys was more than 10.
It is the percentage problem, or it is the percentage and equation mixture.
Percentage. It was a max mean percentage question.
Max mean percentage.
Percentage questions. Yeah. The next arithmetic was that 1 lakh वाला जो जहाँ पे stocks
again I
stocks, bond and gold में
some network issue from your side.
Gold में. Hello. Okay, just is it fine now?
हाँ, voice अभी ठीक हो गया.
ठीक है. So the next question was based on वो जहाँ पे हम लोग invest कर रहे हैं on gold, stocks and bonds.
Right.
Correct. So yeah. So
there was
the answer
total of 1 lakh, I guess. 1 lakh was the total money.
Yeah, 1 lakh
was divided into 3 parts. And एक part का relation दे दिया था कि 25% of the bonds were 25% of gold, and then some percentage return was there, and the total return was given to you. So you just have to take equation and find, and total के साथ equate करके find out कि bonds से आपको कितना return मिला है. तो I think bonds was 15,000 आया था, and 1500 था, और वहां से फिर उसका 6%, I think 15,000 था, और उसका 6% फिर लेना था.
15,000 था, उसका 6% निकालना. So 900 would have been the answer.
हाँ, once you get the ratio कि किस रेशियो में 1 लाख डिवाइड हुआ है या फिर किस पार्ट में डिवाइड हुआ है, if you get that part, फिर उसका परसेंटेज निकाल के you had to put it. So again ये मल्टी लेयर्ड था. It's not like कि सिर्फ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन निकालना है, फिर उसका कितना परसेंट है वो निकालना है.
So percentage given, and that's why 2 questions already there.
It did not give any percentage. It just said, just when very small information
percentage given there. Okay.
Yeah. So there was one more question on time and work. So there was one more question on time and work. Wages वाला question था एक. Wages वाला एक question था.
Yeah, 3 people. So the time taken by 3 people alone were given to you all 3 days.
Correct.
Then individual per day wage was given to us. And our objective was that I want to make the work get completed under 10 days with the minimum amount of wage.
Correct.
So we had to come up with the strategy to minimize the wage, but to get the work done in 10 days. And it was also mentioned that अगर कोई बंदा आधा काम करता है, does not mean वो आधा दिन का पेमेंट लेगा. अगर वो बंदा दिन में 1 मिनट भी काम करेगा, मतलब पार्शियल काम भी करेगा, तो फुल पेमेंट लेगा. Which means they were discouraging us from taking all three people together and making them work. So this was one time and work question.
Correct.
Then there was one
difficulty level. Time and work. What you read it?
Moderate,
moderate
not very.
moderate question मैं बोलूँगा. And
acid or water वाला question आया था सर एक और.
yeah, the replacement was but compared to last year, this one was tricky. So basically, we were told that there was 200 ml, 200 liters of mixture, which had, I think, if I'm not wrong, so 40% उसमें वो था, acid था, तो rest तो आपका water था. फिर मुझे बोला गया था, then we were told that first 20% was removed and replaced with water. Then I think 30% was removed.
No, the initial acid was 30%. 60 आया था.
Okay,
60 से हम लोग back calculate किए थे.
हाँ. So the 30 was some starting percentage was given. Then they were told that 30 was there. Then they were told 20% of the mixture is removed and replaced with water. Then 30% was removed and replaced with acid. And then again 15% was removed and replaced with water. So you had to find out the final acid percentage. तो बेसिकली हमको जो फॉर्मूला लगाते हैं, we apply the replacement formula on the liquid which is not getting replaced. So हमको पहले वाले में एसिड पे लगाना है, सेकंड वाले पे वाटर पे लगाना है और थर्ड वाले पे वापस एसिड पे लगा के we had to find out the, and again this question did not have an integer solution. The answer was around 26.8 something आया था, and the question was which option choice is nearest to your answer. So
And
27.
वो वाला question आया था ब्रेड वाला 5 into 4 into 2 वाला.
नहीं वो तो मॉडर्न मैथ में will do.
Not modern maths, I think algebra हाँ वो mostly permutation.
मॉडर्न मैथ है ना. हाँ, so एक और क्वेश्चन आया था अरिथमेटिक में. We had a time speed distance question. I don't remember exactly. There was one more question from equations. एक equations का question था. I think वो फिर algebra का ही part हो गया, right? Equations का अगर हुआ.
वो algebra plus numbers पे.
In which segment, that means sub concept if you consider.
We did not talk about SICI. SICI से भी we had
दो question था.
दो question आया था. And one question was a little tricky.
One question was very lengthy, like जहाँ पे
tricky नहीं था, lengthy था.
जहाँ पे P आया था 9600 and R आ गया था 15%. फिर बोला था compounded 6 months for 2 years. So वहाँ पे 1.075 into whole power 4 into 9600 would have been the answer.
But again compounding 6 months करके हो रहा था.
हाँ वही ना तो 1 plus 15 by 200 हो गया. 1.075 power 4.
And then this question was also like which the interest is closest to which number. ये भी
closest था क्योंकि इसका आंसर क्या आया था ना सर 3220.6 आया था तो ऑप्शन में था 3220. So वो आंसर होगा. मतलब यहाँ पे भी भाई without a calculator you can't do anything.
ये इसमें भी कैलकुलेटर मस्त था.
इसमें भी कैलकुलेटर मांगता था. हाँ SICI के दोनों क्वेश्चन में कैलकुलेटर चाहिए था.
ये 15% क्या yearly 15%?
हाँ yearly 15%.
So first वाला जो information था
7.5% करके 4 times.
Correct.
Yes.
Bad calculation.
Very
well.
It was specifically made. This question was made so that you use the calculator.
Yeah. Like I picked up this question. It took me 4 to 5 minutes because of that first thing. वो पूरा information पढ़ने में ही फिर भाई जब हम लोग नोट कर रहे हैं उसके बाद भी बहुत मतलब simultaneous equation बनता है वहां पे फिर हम लोग R निकालते हैं फिर P निकालते हैं फिर भाई यहाँ पे compound कर हाँ तो भाई 4 minutes का question हो गया था ये क्योंकि कुछ फंडा नहीं था. मतलब सही बोलो तो थ्योरी कुछ था ही नहीं इसमें. बेकार क्वेश्चन था बट फालतू में कैलकुलेशन बना दिया लास्ट में वो एक्स्ट्रा ऐड करके.
एंड अदर SICI का जो सेकंड क्वेश्चन
SICI का एक और जो क्वेश्चन था that was not very lengthy I guess. वो I'm not able to remember
in that
properly.
Can you recall?
Not at this point, but I remember this one.
But जो एक और SICI का था वो doable था as compared to this, so that was very much doable.
Okay. अच्छा, that any kinds of average not appeared.
Allegation only, no
allegation.
Mixture allegation that is there, but average no.
No averages, no.
Okay.
AP का था, but not averages.
हाँ AP का था वो तो मतलब वही बोल रहा है algebra plus numbers पे बहुत ज्यादा इस बार पेपर हेवी था. Like if you see the distribution, the distribution is similar to CAT 23. द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन इज वेरी सिमिलर टू कैट 23 का. वहां पे भी अलजेब्रा प्लस नंबर्स में काफी क्वेश्चंस थे.
ओके, तो अलजेब्रा इलाबोरेट करो. अरिथमेटिक तो हो गया.
या सो अलजेब्रा
अच्छा,
में
अरिथमेटिक का और एक मेरे को पूछना था. दैट इज द टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस का कुछ रिकॉल कर सकता है फ्रॉम व्हिच सब सेक्शन?
नो आई डोंट रिकॉल टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस. बट टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस वाला क्वेश्चन आई कैन थिंक कि इट वाज नॉट टफ. अगर टफ होता तो मेरे को याद रहता. टफ
नहीं,
नहीं है मोस्टली जितना मेरे
टू
को
टू
याद है.
एंड फ्रो तो ये और सर्कुलर
नहीं नहीं,
ट्रैक.
टू एंड फ्रो वगैरह उतना नहीं था आई गेस. नहीं, टू एंड फ्रो नहीं था, सीधा सीधा स्पीड टाइम का ही क्वेश्चन था. मतलब जहाँ पे जस्ट कैलक मतलब वो बिठा के यू कैन सॉल्व एंड
दैट मीन्स वो
मतलब.
करने के लिए उतना मुश्किल नहीं हुआ.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस वाला क्वेश्चन डुएबल था. ठीक है. लेट्स नाउ कम टू अलजेब्रा. तो अलजेब्रा में सर लॉग का क्वेश्चन था. अब लॉग का क्वेश्चन बहुत ही ट्रिकी था. क्यों? क्योंकि क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा था कि लॉग बेस 1/4 and it had n square minus 7n plus 11 and this should be greater than 0. Okay. So 1/4 बेस में है तो इसको इस साइड लेके जाएंगे तो 1/4 power 0 that becomes 1. But since 1/4 है so the sign changes. Correct. So n square minus 7n plus 11 is less than 11. Sorry, is less than 1. So yeah, इस साइड लेके आएंगे तो n minus 3 into sorry n minus 2 into n minus 5 less than 0 का ये बन जाएगा. So the values of n which satisfies are 3 and 4. But the thing is 3 and 4 तक तो ठीक है. But वो 3 and 4 जब हम log में बिठाते हैं n square minus 7n plus 11 में तो that gives me a negative value. So दोनों 3 and 4 gets rejected. So the answer to this would be 0. So this was a तो ये क्वेश्चन मेरे को ट्रिकी लगा था क्योंकि बाद में फिर वो बिठा के देखना ये शायद बहुत लोग मिस कर दे क्योंकि ये डायरेक्ट नहीं था ना एकदम. इनिशियली क्या होता है ना, अगर फैक्टराइज करके ही देता है कि n-5 into n-6 करके देता है ना तो हम लोग वो बिठा के देख लेते हैं. बट सिंस ये फैक्टराइज था ही नहीं, सीधा सीधा क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन था, तो वहां पे बहुत लोग शायद मिस कर दे कि बिठा के देखना चाहिए था.
तो एक ही लॉग था.
हाँ, लॉग का एक ही क्वेश्चन था. लॉग एक ही क्वेश्चन था.
इंडिसेस का जो क्वेश्चन हमने कहा, इंडिसेस प्लस नंबर्स मिला के एक क्वेश्चन था 3 to power k वाला.
और मैं
इंडिसेस
बोल
का एक
रहा
नंबर
था
मिला के
कि
था. फिर वो एक इसका था के का था जिसका आंसर 47 होगा. के का एक टाइप ऑफ क्वेश्चन था जहाँ पे क्या एक था जो बोल रहा था कि के इससे कम होगा, समथिंग लाइक दैट. 47 आई गेस वाज द आंसर टू दैट. अनदर वाज वो जो इसका इसका ये वाला था ना एफएक्स का, इसका मिनिमम वुड बी ग्रेटर देन उसका मैक्सिमम.
So basically क्या था क्वेश्चन, two quadratic expressions were given to you. Y is equal to some x square minus 5cx plus 8c, ऐसे कुछ c के टर्म्स में था.
So x square minus 4cx plus plus 1 I guess.
So that
Yeah, yeah.
one quadratic was given in terms of c. There was another quadratic given which had a negative x square plus again something cx plus c. And I was told what is the minimum value of c for which what is the minimum value of c for which the minimum value of the first quadratic is higher than the maximum value of the second quadratic. तो पॉजिटिव x स्क्वायर के कोफिशिएंट के लिए मिनिमम मतलब -d/4 है, एंड आपका नेगेटिव x स्क्वायर के लिए भी मैक्सिमम वैल्यू -d/4 है. तो द क्वेश्चन बेसिकली वाज कि फॉर व्हाट वैल्यू ऑफ c will the -d/4 for the first quadratic will be higher than the -d/4 of the second quadratic.
अच्छा, in this I solved it in this manner कि fx और gx जो दिया था तो fx has to be greater than gx in any situation. So fx minus gx should be greater than 0.
हाँ, fx minus gx greater than 0.
perfect.
वहां से भी, हाँ, वहां से भी हो जाएगा.
वहां से कट जा रहा था डायरेक्टली.
वहां से, हाँ. So we can do that. We do it like that. Multiple approaches we can do. बेसिकली मिनिमम वैल्यू अगर है मतलब ये ग्राफ जो है ऐसे बन रहा है और दूसरा ग्राफ ऐसे बन रहा है, तो इसका मतलब है कि एक ग्राफ हमेशा दूसरे ग्राफ से बड़ा है.
Then another question was there, the value of k कितने सारे values होंगे. So the answer to that was 3, 0, 2 and 4, like sorry 0.
So the question was x square minus 5x plus k equal to 0. Okay, this is a quadratic. I want to find how many non-negative values of k are there so that this quadratic will give me integer roots. So x square minus 5x plus k equal to 0 should give you integer roots for non-negative values of k. तो सीधा सीधा इसका मतलब है discriminant should be a perfect square, और perfect square में आपका शायद 25 minus
सर उतना भी नहीं करना था, उतना भी नहीं करना था सर. इसमें एक्स स्क्वायर माइनस 5x प्लस के है, के का वैल्यू 0 होगा तो इंटीजर रूट्स मिलेगा, के का वैल्यू 5 को मैं अगर तोड़ूंगा तो 1 and 4 में तोड़ूंगा तो होगा,
1 and
तो
4
के
में
का
टूट जाएगा, करेक्ट, 1
और
and
एक
4 में टूट,
होगा,
अगेन योर,
3 में तोड़
हेलो,
सकता
तुम्हारा वॉइस वापस से
हूँ,
कट
बस
कर,
यही थी
हेलो,
ऑप्शंस।
हेलो,
Chandeep, your
हेलो,
audio is breaking again.
हेलो, इज इट फाइन?
हाँ, इट्स फाइन नाउ,
नहीं, still
इज इट फाइन राइट नाउ?
stutter.
ना उसका, हाँ, your video is getting stuck as well.
Hmm.
या सो आई एम सेइंग कि उतना कुछ
उधर से भी
Sandeep
डायरेक्टली आ
was
जाएगा, like
trying to
if
say something.
anybody wants to solve 25 minus 4k should be a
जस्ट
perfect
सेकंड,
square.
लेट मी टर्न ऑन।
In the meantime,
या
I had
हाँ 25 माइनस के
in the
should
meantime
be
I had a
perfect
small
square।
question. In the if you like if you remember this thing, you said that this decimal closest answer, this thing, is this a pattern that we are familiar with from previous years, or is it completely new?
From the previous years, few, not as frequent as it was in this slot. There has
Okay.
been one question, maximum 2 questions where close नहीं, one question ही आया है पहले. There was maximum 1 question where it was like which option is closest. But here you had multiple, like 2 to 3 questions were there where we had to select the option which was closest to your actual solve.
So it looks like CAT is actually picking up things from the past, because what you told me, the one thing very interesting was keyword question, which I have only seen last in 2020. So since then, I haven't seen such a question in the VA part, that is.
ठीक है, we'll quickly move on to geometry. Geometry में there were 3-4 questions. One question was rhombus.
एक और क्वेश्चन मेरे को याद आया जो एक्चुअली डुएबल था, जिसका जो जो ये हो रहा है, जो बोला था n का लोएस्ट पॉसिबल नंबर क्या होगा, तो 268 वाज द आंसर, तो 268
हाँ, बहुत सारे कंडीशन थे, 3 डिजिट नंबर था, मुझे बोल दिया था कि there was only one prime digit and there were no perfect square digits and the smallest such example का prime number of factors, so numbers का number of factors पे direct question था, right? And there was also an equation based question जहाँ पे there were 3 variables, 2 equations and you need to find the value of the third equation. So यहाँ पे the observation was that ABC ऐसे 2 equation given थे, B and C का जो ratio था वो same था. So that means you eliminate B and C, find only the value of A and B and C का value, B minus C का value साथ में निकालो और वहीं से तुमको third equation का value आ जाएगा. So this was a matter of observation. Geometry पे आते हैं. Geometry में we had 4 questions. One was a rhombus question. ठीक है. Second question was a very interesting question which had multiple concepts. It was a circle having parallel chords and you had to use the concept of, so it was making a cyclic quadrilateral which is a trapezium. So parallel chords को अगर join कर देंगे, जो figure बनता है PQRS, it is a cyclic quadrilateral as well as a parallelogram. So you had some information was given to you about the radius and the distance of the chords, and you had to find out the area of the parallelogram. So you had to use ratio concept, you had to use this 30 45 45 90 triangle concept. So ये concepts use करके it was a lengthy question but it was an interesting question. Then there was one question from coordinate geometry as well where in the coordinate geometry, so basically out of 3 coordinates were given, 3 coordinates of a parallelogram were given. तो हम लोग जो वो formula जो देते हैं उससे तो fourth वाला automatic आ जाएगा, which was S. And then I was told that SQ जो line है, it is getting internally bisected by the x axis. तो इसका मतलब बस basically उस line को वो x axis पे कहाँ कट कर रहा है वो value बताना था. I think 29/9 ऐसा कुछ. 29/2. Yeah. The answer was 29/9. Yeah. 29/9. ऐसा कुछ था. तो बेसिकली वो एक कोऑर्डिनेट का था और एक ट्रायंगल का भी यूज है, सम ट्रायंगल क्वेश्चन. नहीं ट्रायंगल नहीं, वो वही वाला था जो सर्कल वाला था, एक रोम्बस वाला और ये थ्री क्वेश्चन, 3 और एक, हाँ, और एक तो एक और था जितना मेरे को याद है, आई एम नॉट रिमेम्बरिंग दिस बट दिस 3 आर श्योर. हाँ, and one modern math question was that this was a very easy question. तुमको choices दिया था, I think you were like you had to select 5 different sandwiches or 5 different breads, 2 different types of sandwich and 2 different sizes of the sandwich, and you had to select 2 sauces out of 6. No, sir, so there is a thing, so I have missed that. वो at most ही था, exactly नहीं था. So 660 plus 61 plus 62 करना था. So the answer to this would be 880, not 600. So I missed. So I did that wrong. 600 नहीं होगा, इसका आंसर 880 होगा. हाँ, but the concept is like कि पहले कितने टाइप से ब्रेड सिलेक्ट कर सकते हो, तो दैट विल बी 5 चॉइसेस इनटू 4 चॉइसेस इनटू 2 चॉइसेस, वो डायरेक्टली आ जाएगा। और अगर एट मोस्ट 2 सॉसेस यू आर पिकिंग, सो यू कैन पिक 0 सॉसेस, 1 सॉस और 2 सॉस, सो 60, 61, 62, जस्ट इन दोनों को मल्टीप्लाई कर दोगे, आंसर आ जाएगा। अब
Correct,
हाँ, अब वो एग्जैक्टली अगर होता तो सिर्फ 62 करते, अगर एटलीस्ट होता तो वो होता, और एटमोस्ट होगा तो 0, 1, 2 हो जाएगा। सो इट वाज अ वेरी डुएबल क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम पीएनसी। आई थिंक ओवरऑल लेट्स ट्राई टू रैप अप इसके बाद, क्योंकि यू नो वी हैव टू आल्सो
Because we
गो
have
टू
to come with
द
slot 2 also now.
slot 2 also we have to do.
Slot 2 will be there.
So इसका क्या, I think Sadeep, I think you will agree with me that overall this was like if we take 2023 and 2024 को as a scale, this was, the 2025 was quite close to the 2023 mark.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
More or
like,
less, this is the impression we are getting.
Yes. Okay, because there was number one, because there was high number of algebra questions plus number system questions, which was similar in 2023. The questions were more conceptual, even though not as lengthy. 2023 में क्वेश्चन बहुत लेंथी भी थे, बट यहाँ पे ये
बहुत
थोड़ा
lengthy
ज्यादा
थे।
यहाँ पे कॉन्सेप्चुअल है।
बट सर यहाँ पे बहुत सारा ट्रिकियर क्वेश्चंस भी है, जो मतलब बंदा शायद बहुत सारा अटेम्प्ट करके आएगा पर गलत होगा बहुत सारा।
राइट, बट कुछ डुएबल क्वेश्चंस भी थे, जैसे एक स्टॉक का सवाल दिया था, देयर वाज वन स्टॉक क्वेश्चन इन अरिथमेटिक। हाँ, सिटर्स क्वेश्चन थे, ठीक है, एक स्टॉक का क्वेश्चन था अरिथमेटिक में, बट इट वाज नॉट एक्चुअली अ स्टॉक क्वेश्चन, इट वाज अ बेसिक, इतना प्राइस है इतना क्वांटिटी, जस्ट प्राइस इनटू क्वांटिटी का खेल था पूरा, ठीक है, तो उसमें कोई स्टॉक का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं था। अलजेब्रा में भी देयर वाज वन इनइक्वालिटी क्वेश्चन जहां पे 2 वेरिएबल थे, बट स्टिल इट वाज अ वेरी डुएबल क्वेश्चन, जहां पे x और y का रिलेशन दे दिया और x प्लस y का वैल्यू दे दिया, तो तुमको देखना है कि कितने केसेस इंटीजर केसेस बनेंगे। सो या इफ समबडी डिड नॉट गेट इंटिमिडेटेड बाय द नंबर ऑफ अलजेब्रा क्वेश्चंस, 15 और 16 ऐसा कुछ एक आंसर था, ठीक है। सो इफ एनीबडी डज नॉट गेट इंटिमिडेटेड बाय द वर्ड स्टॉक, और यू नो कि मल्टीपल डिस्काउंट लग रहा है, ठीक है, और लुकिंग एट पीएनसी, इफ दे डोंट गेट, और ज्योमेट्री में रोम्बस का क्वेश्चन आ गया, इफ दे डोंट गेट इंटिमिडेटेड बाय इट, पेशेंटली अगर करोगे तो इसमें सिटर क्वेश्चंस आपको मिल जाएंगे, बट स्टिल गिवन बिकॉज द DILR वाज ऑन द टफर साइड, सो एक साइकोलॉजिकल इफेक्ट डेफिनेटली रहता है ऑन द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स। सो बेस्ड ऑन दैट आई वुड से दैट if a student attempts 9 questions correct, so I think that is where the 99 percentile lies, 8 to 9, because the DILR was on the tougher side, so it will have an effect on the performance of students.
करेक्ट, क्योंकि जब पढ़ाई चालू करेंगे तो एक माइंड में तो वो रहेगा कि यार ये एक सब्जेक्ट पूरा एकदम डूब गया, वो एक साइकोलॉजिकल इफेक्ट रहेगा।
तो देयर लुक्स लाइक DILR एकदम डूब गया है, ऐसे तरह भी हो सकता है।
हाँ,
it was on the, that is because you know in other places people were spoiled कि 24 इतना easy आया तो easy आएगा, but the way we had prepared our mocks, the difficulty level that we maintained, yeah, it was on the tougher side,
the hammer kind of thing it would be.
So overall क्या लगता है फिर संदीप, overall कुछ कट बोलना है क्या?
Overall for this paper I think sir, like we will be able to judge better from slot 2 and slot 3 again, but for this slot 1 में 99 percentile should be around 78 to 82, like around 80.
Yes, I also feel was 75 से थोड़ा ज्यादा होगा, 80
only the difference is coming from cat 23, जहाँ पे 4-5 मार्क्स मैं एक्स्ट्रा क्यों बोल रहा हूँ, क्योंकि VARC was easier था,
and DILR में significant difference आ गया।
हाँ मतलब
अच्छा 23 का बोल रहे हो, 23 का बोल रहे हो, ओके।
हाँ 23 का DILR अगर मैं सेम रखूं इसके साथ, बट 23 का VARC was tougher than this one for sure. So sorry, yeah, so 4-5 मार्क्स वहां पे मे भी कम स्कोर करेगा एक बच्चा, तो वो कंपेंसेट हो रहा है अपना क्वांट से। So I think 4 to 5 marks above of cat 23 should be.
Yeah, I also think that the magic number for slot 1 raw score, again we are only talking about raw score, the magic number should be around the vicinity of 80.
80, yeah, definitely. Okay, I guess we can conclude right now.
Wrap up.
We have to come up with slot 2 reaction as well.
Let's see that how much it is getting parity with these slot 1 and others.
Exactly.
Okay, chale.
Okay, thank you so much.
We'll see you there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.